All right, I'm going to call the Liberty Union-Thurston Board of Education regular meeting on March 8, 2021 at 7 p.m. Roll call, Ms. Boyer.
Ms. Cato, here. Mr. Hookrattle?
Here.
Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Schiff?
Here.
Dr. Walter?
Here. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Is that tape? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Number 4, public participation in board meetings. Due to the effect of COVID-19, we have limited the size of our public gathering. It is necessary to use virtual meeting methods to support school board meetings. I believe we had somebody for this evening, yes?
Yes. Let's see. I have her down here later.
You got her down later?
Down here.
See what it is.
Yeah, we have one parent, Casey? Kristen?
I'm here.
Okay. Can you get that up there on the big screen, John? There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so we have a parent here that wants to have a few minutes with us, and the floor is yours.
If you can give us your name and address, please, for the record.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My name is Kristen Kraft, and our address is 4650 South Road, Lancaster.
All right. What would you like to talk to the board about?
Okay, I would love to talk to the board about reopening schools. I'm a teacher, so I've written a letter so I don't go over my minutes. So I will start by just reading my letter. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to address the board. My name is Kristen Kraft. I'm a parent of 2 high schoolers here at Liberty Union High School. In addition to being a parent of high schoolers, I also teach high school history at Gahanna-Lincoln. Needless to say, I spend a large portion of my daily life working with teenagers. While these are most definitely unprecedented and unconventional times, I would like the board to consider reopening our schools for fully in-person instruction at least 4 days a week. I believe that this is what is best for our children and the students of Liberty Union-Thurston schools. This past year has been hard on our children. We condition them to learn and thrive with peers and teacher-centered instruction. A pandemic hit, and our kids instantly switched to online digital learning. While they were able to manage this new learning model last spring, and even at the beginning of this school year, I believe they are in desperate need of their in-person learning environment and their teachers that they are accustomed to having. The coronavirus spread in our community has been declining for months. Much of the unknown that has surrounded the virus in the early stages of the pandemic has become clearer. In Fairfield County, a county with only 157,574 residents, the 7-day case average peaked on December 9th, 2020, at 132 cases that week. As of March 2nd, 2021, Fairfield County is at 16.43 cases per week. The average daily rate of ICU bed usage is 5.11%. The 7-day average hospitalization rate is 0.57. The weekly emergency room visits for COVID-like symptoms as of March 2nd are 1.14. Are my children being kept from fully in-person learning because of these statistics? At what point do we start to question what we are sacrificing and what is truly best for this generation of young people? As teachers, we are taught to differentiate our instruction, that learners learn in different styles, and that access to an educator is essential. This prolonged learning from home model is not providing differentiation. It is reducing children to the same learning model, and without live access to their educators, is nothing more than online worksheets and checklists to complete. To say our children are adequately learning is to greatly exaggerate what is truly happening at home. Students are using FaceTime to complete activities. Snapchat is utilized at a grade level to share completed documents, and even phones are used during locked quizzes to look up answers. Again, I ask, at what point do we start to question what we are sacrificing and what is truly best for this generation of young people? Statistics have shown that school environments are not super spreaders of the virus. As a teacher myself, I see firsthand the amount of cleaning I must personally do, other staff members do, and that the custodial staff does on a regular basis. All school staff have had the opportunity to receive at least one round of the vaccine. I believe it has been proven that schools can reopen to fully in-person learning and do it effectively. We have many examples of school districts in our county that have been fully open since October. This school board has provided an option for parents who want their child to have 0 school exposures this year. I am asking that you provide the same courtesy for those of us wanting to choose fully in-person instruction for our children. I appreciate the time and effort the school board has put into protecting the safety of our kids. I realize this has been difficult for all involved. I ask that you please consider giving the students who want to go to school the option to do just that. Thank you for your time, your service, and your consideration.
Well, thank you. I think that the later in the meeting we are going to address that. So if you stay tuned, then you'll see the outcome.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that is supposed to talk?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. So we have number 5, recognition, Classroom Hero Award, Miss Kate Silver, middle school teacher.
Okay, let me take this one over.
Okay.
Kate, are you with us? Kate Silver?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. And Lauren, are you here? Lauren Martin, are you here? No? Okay,
I'm
Kate.
here, sorry.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Lauren. Is Kaylee, you're here, I can see you. Kaylee?
Yep.
All right. And Keith, are you here? Robinson?
Yes, I am here.
Okay, so this is what I'd like to do. I want to initiate this award at a board meeting. And Keith, would you begin by giving some background as to why Kate has been given this award?
Yeah, absolutely. And before I do that, there's not actually a Google Meet going on with the board. We can hear John LaBelle, but we can't see the board, and there's not an actual Google Meet stream to where anybody can see the board.
I'm working on that. He's working on it.
Okay, great. So I wasn't sure if anybody knew that or not. We can't actually see any of you. I saw an advertisement that Channel 10 News had for honoring classroom heroes, and so I wanted to nominate my coworker Kate. She has always gone above and beyond for students, but she's taken that to a completely new level with what we've been facing since this time last year. And so I threw her name in the hat, and when they read about her, they said she would make a great first classroom hero. So that is why I nominated her.
Well, thanks for doing that, Keith. Lauren, you want to talk about Kaylee for a minute?
Sure. Kaylee is an exceptional student all the way around, but I've been fortunate to have her in class since 8th grade. And so I've just watched her artwork grow and develop, and there was a contest that came around for National Scholastic Art Writing Contest, and she was one of the first students that came to mind. And so, you know, she's a varsity student right now, and I miss seeing her work in class. She has done such a phenomenal job with this, you know, and just taken her artwork to a whole nother level. With the dedication that she can put into it at home, she works really well in that model, I think. And so she submitted multiple artworks for the competition and came back with an award for this recognition. And so that's why she's here this evening, to recognize those artistic achievements.
Thanks, Lauren. You know, your classroom is just wonderful, and you're really building it up, and to give these kids that opportunity is just remarkable. And I want to congratulate Kate Silver for receiving the Classroom Hero Award from the Ohio Education Association and Channel 10 TV, and Kaylee Utzinger for receiving the 2021 Scholastic Art and Writing Award from Columbus College of Art and Design. And you're going to get a plaque, and I want to read the words that are on it. So we're initiating what we're going to call a Star Thrower recognition tonight. And you're the first two recipients of it, one student, one teacher. And I'm going to take my mask off so I can read this. Everybody else has their mask on, and I'll be doing this in less than 15 minutes, hopefully. In addition to a plaque, we have a pen that is Starfish, and that it's a gold pen, Starfish pen, and you'll get that as well to wear. And in a moment, you'll see why you're going to get a Starfish pen, and hopefully see why. But I'm going to be sending this to you after the meeting. But here is the little story. Once upon a time, there was a wise man who used to go to the ocean to do his writing. He had a habit of walking on the beach before he began his work. One day he was walking along the shore, and as he looked down the beach, he saw a human figure moving like a dancer. He smiled to himself to think of someone who would dance to the day. So he began to walk faster and catch up. As he got closer, he saw that the young man wasn't dancing, but was instead reaching down to the shore, picking up something and very gently throwing it into the ocean. As he got closer, he called out, "Good morning. What are you doing?" The young man paused, looked up, and replied, "Throwing starfish into the ocean." I guess I should have asked, "Why are you throwing starfish in the ocean?" "Well, the sun is up, the tide is out, and if I don't throw them in, they will die." "But young man, don't you realize that there are miles and miles of beach and starfish all along it? You cannot possibly make a difference." The young man listened politely, then he bent down, picked up a starfish, threw it into the sea, past the breaking waves, and said, "It made a difference to that one." The young man was choosing not to be an observer in the universe and watch it pass by, but was choosing to be an actor in the universe and make a difference. The young man's action represents something that is special in each and every one of us. You have been gifted with the ability to make a difference, and we are aware of that gift and have gained through your strength and vision and power to shape the future. And thanks for doing all of that and for your recognition. Congratulations to you. And I'm going to give you a minute. If you want to say anything, you can. If you're shy, you don't have to.
Kylie, you want to go first? You have anything else to say?
Thank you for the recognition of all the hard work I've done this year. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, Kaylee.
And I'd just like to say thank you to Keith for taking the time in what is obviously a pretty busy and stressful year to take the time out to recognize someone else that's pretty incredible, and I think an indication of our middle school team and how we keep trying to build each other up in support of kids ultimately.
Yeah. Keith, can you see us yet?
I need to relaunch.
Okay.
No, we can't see you yet.
Okay. All right. Thanks again.
Give me 30 seconds to relaunch.
All right.
Are we on mute though?
No.
Okay. No. I think we're back, we just don't have video.
All right, he's still working on the video portion. Sorry for those that are attending. We'll go ahead and get going through with the meeting here. Number 6, department presentation.
We got basketball. I thought we had basketball.
Oh, I missed the, yes, sorry. Is that what you're here for, Mr. Turner? Sorry about that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and let Mr. Turner talk. I tried to skip over him, but we're gonna go ahead and let him talk.
I was looking out for you, Tim. Thank you.
All right. C, 8th grade girls basketball team, Mid-State League champions.
Erica Brown, I see you, but you can't see me. But I'm going to tell you this: in my hot hands, I have the trophy. I got it today. So, girls, yeah, I have the trophy. In fact, Sean Hookrattle will verify it is the right trophy. I didn't steal one out of the trophy case and make a false photo like we did when you guys won. Okay, I have the real one. I apologize that we can't bring these girls in here because these girls are special. There are 9 girls on the team. They've had an exceptionally great year through the pandemic. Some of them got quarantined, but the team still kept winning. This team has not lost a game in 2 years. They won the Mid-State League as 7th graders, and they won it as 8th graders, and they've never lost a game. And I gotta go back. I'll have to check with Alan Young, my stat guy, but I don't think we've had a team like that. So I have to double check. They have not lost a game in 2 years.
One of the sophomore class.
Sophomore class?
Yeah.
All right. What an accomplishment, ladies. And I'd like to recognize them with the board. And I got all 9 girls here. I'm going to do an alphabetical order, girls, so that we make it fair here. But first, Erica Brown, thank you very much for 2 years of coaching here at the middle school. What a great, this lady doesn't stop. I mean, there's to be a snow day, and she says, hey, I got to get my girls in to practice, and they practice. And thanks to Coach Hookrattle who filled in when Erica Brown was on quarantine there for a little bit, and Lissa Moore did some work with us too. So real thanks for some other people that pitched in to help out. But what a fine group of girls, 9 girls, and in the championship game, it was once they started going, they never looked back. They weren't even close. It was a great game to watch. So I want to thank Ella Brown, Paige DeVoe, Brooke Gaskell, Peyton Hookrattle, Leah Huber, Alexis Leaf, Morgan Love, Emma Swain, and Hallie Warner for the girls on the team that did a great job. So if we give a round of applause here, board members. Girls, we normally have a cake here for you, and I'll make up for that. And we get to school. Coach Brown, you need to stop by. We'll get everybody to sign this trophy and put it in the trophy case for the rest of them. And I'll make sure the numbers get on the banner.
Yep.
Okay? All right?
Okay.
Anything you want to say, Coach Brown? Appreciate what you've done. Anything you want to say about these girls?
Well, I wanted to thank the board for recognizing them tonight. Because this year's been a little bit different with the COVID situation. They haven't had a lot of support at the games because of restrictions. So that's just been a little bit different for them. They're used to having lots of family members, and siblings, and friends present, so they didn't get that this year. Just like our championship game, they were only allowed to have 18 spectators present, which was sad because they're a great group of girls. They're really fun to watch. And I'm excited for them, for the high school, to see what their future holds. But they're super fun to watch, so I hope this all ends and everybody gets to come out and watch them all the next few years play high school basketball.
Thank you, Coach Brown, and thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
All right. Now number 6. Department
Do you want to let them
presentation.
know if they want to drop it? Like if the 8th graders and if they want to drop, they can.
Yeah, we can. You mean?
If they want to drop off the call.
Yeah, okay. If
If
you
you
don't want to watch the rest of the meeting, you're welcome to turn your computer off or get out of the meeting. We won't offend
They
anybody.
should have invite.
They're like, yes, thank you, thank you, thank you.
See you later.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Okay, let's try it one more time. High school principal, Miss Holly Griffin. Presentation.
Are you able to,
Yep, getting it right now.
do I need to come get the keyboard or?
No, can't do it that way.
Okay.
Oh, we got two down here. Adam.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to give an update today or tonight on the high school. Before I get into the presentation, I just want to give you a little bit of background into the two main topics that I've chosen to discuss tonight. As you may or may not remember from last year, but the entire district joined Battelle for Kids to begin work on Portrait of a Graduate to decide and determine what an LU grad looks like when they leave. So even though that has been placed on hold this year due to the pandemic, we are still doing things on a daily basis to still try to create that, what that LU grad looks like. And when I first began, I guess initially in my head, having nothing but prior high school experience, I thought, it would just be high school teachers and administrators determining what it looks like, but the whole team actually consists of elementary teachers, middle school teachers, and administrators from across the district. And I know we've only had a year into the program. We are moving forward with it next year, but I can tell you that the work we've done thus far has been really valuable. And we've had unique perspectives from having elementary teachers all the way up through high school teachers be a part of that team. And I'm really looking forward to continuing to work on that in the coming year. So my topics, again, even though that's kind of been placed on hold, we're still doing things kind of behind the scenes to keep moving that forward. So just wanted to provide a little bit of background on that. So the first topic I want to talk about is the high school report card that's given from ODE. I'm just going to kind of briefly give you an overview of the components that we are scored on, and then I'm going to highlight the one that has become a focal point for us at the high school. So the first topic is, or the first component is achievement. And the bulleted point kind of defines what that is. And achievement represents whether student performance on state tests met the thresholds and how well students performed on tests overall. And then they also recently added the measure of chronic absenteeism. According to data from 18-19, because we didn't receive a report card this past year, we scored a D on that component. Progress is next, which looks closely at the growth that all students are making based on past performances. We scored a D on that. Gap closing shows how well schools are meeting the performance expectations for our most vulnerable students in English language arts, math, graduation, and English language proficiency. And for that component, we scored a C. The next component is graduation rate, which historically we've always scored really well on this. That looks at the percent of students who are successfully finishing high school with a diploma in 4 or 5 years, which we scored an A. And then the last component, which is the one I'm going to delve into, is the Prepared for Success component, which looks at how well prepared Ohio students are for all future opportunities, whether training in a technical field or preparing to work or college. And again, these grades came from 18-19, and in that category we scored an F. This next screen is actually part of the report card, and I know it's going to be difficult to read, but I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit more in the following slides. But if you kind of look on the left-hand side of that, you have a category there where it says number of students, and you see, if you can see, it's the number 74, and then a 1 is next to that. So we get 1 point in this particular section, and I'll explain that in just a second. The next number you see is 48. And for each of those 48, we got 0.3 for a total of 14.4 points, which you can see our bottom average there on the right is 88.4. The other numbers I want you to look at is the graduation cohort, which in this particular case is 242 students, because it's actually over the course of 2 graduating years. So this would have been the graduates prior to the 18-19 data. So 16, 17, 17, 18 graduates. So out of those 242 kids, we only had 74 who earned that first point for us, and I'm going to talk on the next screen about how to earn that first point. If a student earns that first point, they're eligible to earn an additional 0.3. And out of those 74, we only had 48 students earn 0.3. So the possible number of points we could have earned would have been 314.6, but we only earned 88.4, which is why our percentage there is the 36.5. So I know that's a lot of numbers, but I wanted to kind of give you that visual to take a look at. On the following slide, these are the methods of how you earn that first point. So students can earn a point by earning a remediation-free score on the SAT. In this particular data, it would have been on the ACT because this was a few years back. They can earn an honors diploma, and right now, traditionally, most of our students earn the academic honors diploma, but there are 4 other ones that students can try to achieve, which is an arts, career tech, STEM, and social science and civic. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about those in the next slide. Or they can earn an industry recognized credential. So those are the 3 ways that they can earn that first point. So again, if we look back at the previous numbers, out of 242 students, we only had 74 earn one of those options. The methods of earning the additional 0.3 points is to earn either a 3 or higher on an AP exam. And right now we only are offering AP English and AP US History. The other way that they can earn that 0.3 is to earn at least 3 college credits before leaving high school. The other method that's on there is to earn a 4 or higher on an IB, the International Baccalaureate program, which we don't offer. So those are our 2 methods there. So the plan, what we've been working on with the help of Dr. Johnson and Jennifer, who brought this up at the beginning of the year. So these are some things that we have done and will continue to do. This isn't by all means the only list, but it's what we've worked with so far. So our plans to improve this score is to, one has already been done, which is to change the ACT to the SAT test. The SAT has a suite of assessments which allow students in 8th grade to take a PSAT. They can take it twice actually their sophomore year. They can take it in the fall in order to qualify for the National Merit Scholar. And then they can also take it again the spring of their sophomore year, which is what we just did last week. So by being exposed to that 3 times before they take it their junior year, they really are given great insight into what that test looks like so that they have a better chance of performing better on that test and earning that remediation-free score. So that's one way that we can do it. The second one is to encourage students to pursue all the types of the honors diplomas that we offer. Right now, this week, actually, tomorrow and Friday, Mr. Duplinsky and I are headed to the middle school to talk to the incoming 9th graders about scheduling for next year. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk to them about is present these different these different honor diplomas so that they can see what those requirements and qualifications are for each. The plan right now for the current high school students to try to maybe persuade them or let them know that these other options exist. That's what Mr. Duplinsky and I will work on, coming up with a plan to meet with those students who are already on track to receive the honors diploma and see if any of them are interested in pursuing any of those other measures. And then the last one is to increase the number of students earning an industry recognized credential. Right now we have 2 CTE programs, Ag and Information Technology, so they have the opportunity to earn it through that. We do have the Career Center, so our junior and senior students have an opportunity to earn that credential through that program, or those programs there. And then the other 2 that have an asterisk next to it are current plans that we want to pilot in the 21-22 school year, which is the Engineering and Science and Technologies pathway, and also Business, Marketing, and Finance. So the plan is to pilot those in 21-22, and then potentially, hopefully, turn those into CTE programs the following year, which would give us 2 additional options for students to get that industry recognized credential. So it's a lot to do, but it's not going to happen overnight, but we have the data, we have plans in place on how to be able to hopefully make some strides in this area to increase that score on the report card. Because no matter what, if the student chooses to attend a 2-year or 4-year college or enter the workforce, again, going back to the portrait of a graduate, we want to make sure that our students are prepared for whatever path they choose. And so this is definitely an area that we can make some strides in to better prepare them for that future.
Holly, a question on that?
Yes.
So, I'm doing math, sorry. So, 74, we can go back like 2 slides. Remember, I'm a numbers guy, so I apologize.
And I'm not a math person, but I did
Uh-oh.
use a calculator for
Okay.
this.
So we got 74 who, maybe one more slide or two more slides.
Right there.
There we go.
Yep.
So 74 out of the 204, or 242, right?
Right.
Students. So we got the 74 now. We've got these 3 plans that we're talking about kind of implementing. Like, what are we trying to get the 74 to? What is, so if a 74 is a 30, well, we got 36.5%. Are we trying to get that to 50%? Are we trying to get that to 75%? Are we trying to get that to 100%? Like, what does that look like over the, because you said it's not going to happen in a year, it's not going to happen overnight, right?
Right.
It's like, what are we trying to get to in year 1, year 2, in an effort to try to drive that number from 36.5 up?
I don't know if there's a magical number that anybody's really looking for. I just want to see an improvement. If that's 50% to start with, you know, I guess I haven't really looked at what our first goal is. What I did in the fall is created a spreadsheet of the 20 graduates, the 2020 graduates, and then added the 21. So we've already gone through and marked who earned it last year and who has that potential now for this year's graduates. So that's kind of where we started. I really, honestly, I just want to see an improvement on that. I mean, you know, I don't know what that magical number is. I don't know
So
if we really.
Well, it has its percent, just like a regular grade, so it'd be ideally we want to get to 70%
yeah.
as fast as we can. Double that.
Right.
And, you know, that would be wonderful. The thing that is happening here that we're all trying to do is change the capacity of the high school. So it didn't have all this capacity. And we added the partnership with the University of Cincinnati, and we feel like that was successful. We still need to support that. We have an opportunity, we were down one staff member, and so we have an opportunity to go out and find another staff member. We posted to add capacity about the engineering piece, and then just take advantage of that, and then put a pathway with the name. And just as Holly was pointing out, she's already checked off against those that have it. Let's work on one child at a time. Let's try to get the counselor and other people to help them get a 4-year plan against one of those pathways and commit to it as much as they can. It's really hard for a freshman to commit to what they're going to be as a senior, but there's going to be lots of opportunities. Put that against the new graduation standard, and maybe we could come back and talk about that the graduation standard. There's a real nice 2-page template that we could talk about. Overlay that to the capacity that we're building, and we believe that we can get there. And it's in a meaningful way. I mean, it's just not going blind. We're going to go purposely by kid against the pathways.
Okay. So then is there the thought, because I see the NR next to the 36.5, so I'm assuming that means not ranked?
Because this is the chart from last year, so even though we didn't get a report card, this was still there, so not rated.
Yeah, so do we think that doing the things that are on the next 3 slides that you've gone over with us, that's going to inherently increase the Fs and the 2Ds up just through, or is this something completely separate?
This is just for the Prepared for
Okay.
Success, because that was the 1F.
Okay.
So yes,
Okay,
those
okay.
others definitely need to be targeted as well with plans in place, but this, since it was the lowest grade, became the priority.
But
Okay.
it's the guide. I think this is the guiding page because it lines
I
up
think
with
the other things take care of themselves.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah.
graduation.
That's kind of what I was at.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, well, these.
Like a domino effect.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, if this is our focus, prepared for success, and we can figure out a way to get these, inherently they're likely choosing some type of path, right? So they've got a care in the world, right? They're not just blindly over there at the high school just picking classes because their buddy Tommy's taking
Got a
it.
direction.
Right, they've got a bit of a direction, and then so this inherently goes up. Then some of those other scores potentially have it's a domino effect, like you said. Okay.
And Sean, to get to the heart of your question, 40% is the threshold to get from an F to a D.
Okay.
60% is the threshold to get to a C. 75% is the threshold for a B, and 93 is the threshold for an A. So
Okay.
those are moving numbers with that, however many kids are in those 2 graduating classes, we get our denominator, we gotta affect that numerator with all the things that,
Well, and in theory, doing all, and I
60
didn't mean to cut you off, but in
Okay.
theory, only doing this we can only impact 1 year of the class, because the other year is
can't
behind
change
us.
20.
Yeah, we can't change
No.
history, right? So
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
But what Holly was saying with her plan of, I've already checked off what we have, the 2020 kids, we're looking at the 2021, that same method every year and
Yep.
tracking and knowing, and that's exactly the right path to take to affect this number.
I mean, in theory, we could look at a kid and say, hey, like and I don't, I mean, I shouldn't say, but we could look at a kid and say, hey, all we really need you to do is take AP English or AP US History. Like, you know,
Right.
does that sound interesting to you? They may say heck no to English, but then you're like, you know what, history's something that's kind of cool, yeah. Like, I'll give it a shot.
Or take college.
Yeah, but some kids aren't, you know, college isn't the answer for some kids, so we don't have, but, you know, an AP class, like, sure, you know, what does that look like? And so, okay, cool.
Right. And the beauty of this is, you know, we're a small school, so we can easily sit down and target 100 kids and develop these individual plans for them. You know, if it was a graduating class of 300 or 400, that would be quite challenging, but I feel like this is definitely attainable because we are small, you know, and we can meet with those kids individually. It's going to take some time, but, and we've kind of done a little bit of that. In the fall, after we talked and met, Mr. Duplinski met with certain students who would qualify for these other honors diplomas. And in fact, I know today he said there's a student who may be interested in pursuing the art one. So it's there, it's just, it's going to be, you know, some legwork to get to it.
Okay. Holly, is this a compliance thing with ODE? I mean, does ODE give us a timeline where we have to raise that F up to at least a D? Is it a compliance thing with them?
I don't know that I know the answer. I wouldn't think so. I mean, unless it's connected.
It's motivating for us. The students next year with that F are going to be able to leave and get a voucher. We already have some students doing that at the elementary school because they have, and it's only one F. I mean, it's just unforgiving. And so I think it just, and once we're there, I don't know if we can get out of that where they can get
Oh, the choice.
out of the choice once they're in.
Like currently, the 2014 data is why we are still on the list 6 years later. So it's, once you're on that list, it's very difficult to get off of that list. And then every time we have a year, like a pandemic year, then that data is not counted for anything, so then that just extends how much longer you stay on the list.
Right. And it may be another year. But it's in our interest to provide a program where a student can leave here with a credential of success. And the State Department has given us lots of flexibility with the new graduation standards and pages. And so if we use that as a template and a vision for moving forward, combining that with the portrait of the graduate, we can get up there, and it's not that far away to get to D.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize it was that close.
Once we get to D, then we start chinking off the time in terms of keeping our kids and not having to allow them to take the voucher and go somewhere else if they wanted to.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, the other part of this is something that we really have kind of been pushing for the last couple of years, the career readiness, which on a side note is really personal for me because my own child has kind of gone this route. But last year, we partnered with Fairfield 33 Alliance to basically provide our students who know that college isn't their answer and it's not their choice. And you know, we know now, and after 21 years in being in education, I know that's not the answer for every student now. So we need to be able to still provide those students with whatever they need to be successful when they leave high school. So this partnership allows us to work with a career navigator, or allows a career navigator rather to work with our students to really help provide them as many opportunities and as many trainings and coachings to get them prepared to potentially leave high school and be employed very quickly. So I just included their program vision and mission on here. So their vision is to equip students that do not plan to immediately attend a post-secondary institution to start a local career. And their mission is to provide relevant workplace skills and essential trainings that prepare students to be professionally competitive and to connect students to local employers directly out of high school. So their objectives are listed here, and if you ever have a chance, and I think I shared that in a board notes one week, their website, it lists, I think, over 40 employers along the 33 corridor that they have connected or have connections with. So really, our students are at a huge advantage of being placed somewhere directly after graduation. So some of the objectives are they want to provide skills and trainings that prepare students for the workforce, improve student professionalism and communication, help students develop a portfolio that demonstrates their skills and abilities, prepare them for interviews, which actually right now they're in the middle of working on mock interviews, provide necessary requirements for alternative pathways to graduation. The next slide, the very first few, or the first bullets that are listed there are actually things that they've been doing in the last 2 years. So Carrie Stone is our career navigator, and she's done a phenomenal job with our kids. Unfortunately, with the way we ended the school year last year, we didn't get to see those kids sort of fulfill their path for that. But this year, we are on track to place several students into potential jobs. But so these are some of the things they've worked on this year. She's monitored, they're on track to graduate. She's going to provide they will earn an OMJ, which is the Ohio Means Job Seal. She monitors their attendance. They worked on resumes, again, mock interviews. Like I said, they're doing that this week and next week. She provides tutorials, recommendation letters. In fact, in the last couple of weeks, they've received those from their teachers. She's got them lined up to participate in career job fairs, and then also provides support for job applications. The bullets below that are things that they're going to look at acquiring or adding to the program in the next several years. The PAS, which is the Program Achievement Sessions. They're going to identify industry-recognized credential programs, which is why I put an asterisk next to that, because that connects back to our report card on the Prepare for Success measure. Identify needs of local businesses for apprenticeship programs, and then review guidelines to graduation requirements and adapt programs as necessary. So this really is a great tool to work with, to use, or to help our students, rather, get ready for, again, that next level, whatever that might be for them. The next slide kind of ties in to as well. So these are some new course offerings that we can do to help better prepare our students in whichever pathway they go, whether it's the workforce or college. So next year in the English department, we're going to be offering CCP Comp 1 and 2. So in the past, students have had to travel and provide their own transportation to go to OUL to take their English CCP. We are now going to have a teacher that will be able to offer that in-house to our students. In the Ag department, we've added an Ag work study. Mr. Thomas and Mr. Turner are actually working with Ms. Lehman in the information technology, and they sort of are coming up together on what those expectations will look like for those work study programs. The students will actually work within an ag-related field and also an infotech-related field in order to participate in those programs. The last two classes for information technology as part of the UC program is programming and database management, so those will come into play for those 6 that she has been or will teach. Again, the infotech work study there. And then the electives. So we've got lots of electives here. The first 5 are the classes that we want to offer if we're able to secure an engineering teacher, so that they will offer the pre-engineering principles class, engineering principles, innovations in science and technologies, architectural design, and then robotics. So all of those would be potential course offerings that this teacher would be able to teach. Legal environment of business and marketing principles are going to be 2 of the new classes in the business and marketing pathways. Again, that we would pilot next year and then potentially turn into a CTE program the following year. Mr. Day has been teaching business classes for the last several years. He's kind of switching gears next year to teach these 2 classes to get on track for that pathway. And then a data science class, which it's pending approval from ODE. We kind of jumped on that late. And are waiting to see. We may even be able to teach that without their approval, as long as we have a teacher that's willing and are able to provide them some curriculum resources. So again, these kind of tie in with those 2 points on the Prepare for Success measure, and then also the career readiness piece. The last several slides, just because I think, you know what, it's been a crazy year, and I emailed all the teachers last week and said, please share whatever highlights, that's from this year, because as you can imagine, it hasn't really been normal. Even though we're back in school, it's still not a normal school year. So I wanted to highlight and showcase the wonderful things that have been going on at the high school. This is not by any means a comprehensive list. It was whoever sent me information and I was able to compile. So again, just celebrating the things that we have experienced success in. So the volleyball team earned district runner-up this last fall. Some other sports awards between our fall and winter sports, which is a total of 11 sports. Out of the special awards, we had 48 athletes earn MSL honors, 15 earned District 11 honors, 6 earned Central District honors, 2 earned All Ohio honors. We had 1 state qualifier for wrestling just this weekend. Drew Walker has qualified as an alternate. And then we had 2 Central District Coaches of the Year this year. So, as you guys know, because you've been at sporting events, the fact that we're limited, I mean, Erica Brown talked about 18 parents or participants were allowed to, or spectators, excuse me, were allowed to be there. It's been a trying year in athletics this year because of the pandemic. So it's amazing that our athletes have still been able to excel and succeed. Jimmy Rhodes, just last week, placed second in the pole vault at the Adidas National Indoor Meet, which made him, it caused him to be ranked 4th in the nation. I don't know if you guys remember when he started, the amazing things he did as a freshman, and now he is, as a senior, already excelling. I think what he jumped was 16.9.
Wow.
20. These are just pictures from the ceramics class. I know Mrs. Martin wanted to highlight all of her ceramic students. I mean, you just met Kaylee, a singer, who is a remote student. But I'd like to highlight what Mrs. Martin has done. She has had to be so creative at getting these remote students supplies so that they can do ceramics still. And I don't know if you saw the piece of art that won that award for Kaylee, but it was a ceramic project. Anyway, she's just done a phenomenal job of giving these kids these tools and materials in order to be successful. College acceptances, this came from Miss Lehman. We had 3 seniors, Jacob Burlacamp, Anthony Benino, and Josh Rhodes, who were all a part of that University of Cincinnati's IT program. They have all been accepted into their IT program, which is awesome. Ms. Neal shared some new additions for the 21 yearbook, which is going to be titled Derailed But Prevailed, which is pretty catchy. They're going to highlight military-bound students, the unique snow days that we've had this year. I'm not sure what pandemic hygiene is. I'm assuming masks and things. Fashion changes, and then she's going to have 15 or more student individual features celebrating students for unique things they've done, like owning a business, having popular tutorial accounts, etc. Just finding some unique ways to honor our students. And then lastly, our choir performance. I know Dr. Johnson and I listened to this. It was sent to us, and I would be happy to share it with you guys. But Mrs. Fisher did an amazing job this year creating virtual choir pieces, which consisted of the students' individual recordings being compiled into one. So I don't know if you've ever been to a choir performance before. There are a lot of students up there. So one was an entire high school only, and the other one she combined middle school and high school together and created these amazing performances. So kudos to them for finding a unique way to still carry on and be able to perform. Honor roll students, the first quarter we had 201, quarter 2, 175, and then this, as you guys know, this Friday is the end of the third quarter, so hopefully we're around those numbers. And then this just came out last week. We have 95 seniors graduating this year. Of those 95, 28 of them have earned summa cum laude accolades. That's 29% of the class of 2021 has earned that. And that, I think, speaks volumes for ending the school year as we did last year, and then of course, continuing on through this year. So again, those are just some highlights, and like I said, it's not a comprehensive list. There are some other things going on, but those were the ones that were shared with me. So I just wanted to end it with some positive things that are going on. Any questions or comments, concerns?
Nice job.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Holly. All right, up next we have the Transportation Director, Mr. Adam Leaf.
Thank you, sir. I don't have a fancy slide to put together. I don't know what we have a picture of other than a bus or maybe me and Sean out driving around in the snow. But thankfully, those days are over for this year at least. I mean, I look forward to them when they come, and I also look forward to them when I can say I don't think we have any more. It's been a tough week in the transportation department this week. We've lost one of our drivers who's been here forever for medical reasons. He's had to retire, so we have people retire constantly, but it's been tough with Randy leaving back there. Everybody loves him. He's dearly loved by his kids and all of his co-workers, and it was kind of a, not really a surprise, but just it's tough back there, especially to see how heartbroken he is to have to resign for reasons beyond his control. So, we started out with, Plan A, Plan B, Plan C this year, and to tell you the truth, we've had to go to our backup plan, not because of COVID. You know, we lost Randy, we lost Jennifer to Walnut Township, so we've had to do some personnel shifting around back there, and luckily I have a good team behind me, and we're able to just hit the ground running without looking back. So, just surprising that we're all geared up to, you know, have to shift gears for COVID, and don't have to, but for other reasons we were prepared. We took possession of our 2 new buses this year. That leaves us 7 propane buses and 2 diesels on the road. 7 of those propane buses, 6 of those propane buses are route buses, and the 2 diesels are our Liberty Union regular route buses. One of the new propane buses is the one we got the grant money for that was, I think, like $40-some thousand, which is why we decided to buy that bus back to back and not buy one this year, because we qualified for a grant, so we decided to capitalize on that money, and we got that for, I think it was $45,000. So those 2 buses came in. We won't buy one this year, but our lift bus was desperately needed to come in too. So one of our veteran drivers has it on our Walnut Township Blue Carroll route, running the lift bus every day. In addition to that, we run 3 vans this year and 2 cars. One of them is the old police car that Chief Tussey donated to us, so we outfitted for one of our spec ed kids that we've kind of modified a route for him to get him back and forth. So he's with one of our drivers. He started that today, actually. Believe it or not, this year we service 10 schools other than Liberty Union. And with everybody on hybrid schools and classes, those 10 schools might have 4 kids going to, but they all 4 might follow a different schedule. So it has been tough to keep all that straight. I think we've done really good this year. My drivers have done really good keeping on top of it, because those kids' schedules change every single week, it seems like. And I will be glad when we're back to a normal schedule. Our first bus route leaves at 6:15 in the morning, and everybody's back in by 9 this year. Our first route leaves for Columbus at 10:15, and everybody's back at 4. So we are legitimately running vehicles all day long, with the exception of for 1 hour during the day, every vehicle is parked in the lot. But from 6:15 to 4 or 4:30, they are out running. We're doing 950 to 1,000 miles a day between every bus and car that we have in the fleet. I was really concerned beginning of the year, what are the drivers going to do being short a day? I mean, we have a day that they have to have time that they're short. I was very concerned what we're going to do with it. So Joe put them to work up here, and I think they painted the inside of almost 2 buildings. And then when we started going back to school, those regular route people are over on their route times because we pull those buses in and have to clean and disinfect. So that takes up a little bit of their time. On Wednesday, I bring them in and they deep clean their buses front to back. We have parents that have kids, so you know, they come in the morning, then I have another couple that come in the afternoon and in the evening and do that. It frees up our wash bay, and so everybody's not on top of each other back there. But between cleaning and taking a few trips, it all seems to be working out pretty good, because if they're short time, there's always a trip to take, and they'll take that, and instead of the athletic department taking that on. That's part of our service, just to keep the drivers on their time and their contracted week. The shop is up and running how I would like to seen it last year at this time. So we've taken on work from Walnut Township schools, Walnut Township trustees, and Basel Fire is bringing us a medic this week. You know, COVID hit, and they all kind of just said, man, we're not spending money unless it's an emergency. So that's starting to trickle back in. If you remember right, that was part of our justification for the mechanic. So that's finally coming back full circle. So I've had to push a couple of them off for a couple weeks because they've got so much to do. I got to make sure we take care of our buses, but we're finally starting to get that to come in, which I'm thankful to see that that's finally going to work out. A little bit late, but I'm glad that it's starting. We put a 2-post lift back there to service all the cars and the vans and maintenance trucks. they went on sale, and Napa is one of our vendors. They matched one of our like cheaper lines that I found online. They gave us a matched price on their top end lift, so they really did us a favor, and for very little money, we got some high quality equipment back there thanks to the Napa and Lancaster. Schaefer's oil, we went with all bulk, air discharge bulk oil, so I can buy all of our oil in 55-gallon drums. We need it, we just switch them out, and that's a huge cost savings for us. The drivers are more than thrilled for the wash bay. They don't run to the car wash anymore. I know Sean's dad probably isn't too thrilled about that, but we still send a couple vans over to spend his tokens, but they are utilizing that wash bay more than I even thought they would. So I encourage you to stop back there, check the shop out a little bit. I think we're finally done moving the shelves and stuff around for the 15th time because it just didn't suit me, but I think we're pretty close to what we need to do, and if you guys are ever around and want to, just stop in and see us. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. Any questions for Adam? All right, number 7, discussion and approval of the minutes. I think that takes us up to 14. I have a motion to approve.
So moved. Second.
So Mr. Walter, Ms. Cada, to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of the Union-Thurston Board of Education held on February 8, 2021 as printed. Ms. Cada, or Mrs. Moyer?
Ms. Cato? Yes. Mr. Hookrattle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Dr. Warren?
Yes.
All right, number 8, monthly financial statements. Ms. Moyer?
All right, we have our bank reconciliation. And then we have our monthly financial report. And let's see, on page 5, well, basically, the state has started to restore our state funding. It just started back in February, and we're still going to be froze at the 2019 amounts, but back to that, taking care of where they had did the additional cut this year. So the state didn't end up having to touch their rainy day fund like they thought they would have to, and also the income tax stayed up, which they weren't expecting that, so they didn't have the cuts that they thought they would have, so they gave us back part of our money and then putting us back to what we were froze at before. And then on page 7, our expenditures are down for the year, which we can attribute to COVID. We've had obviously a lot less subs than we normally have, so that makes a big difference. Page 8 is the interest, which is still down. And then page 9 is about where we would be for the year at 67% and where we are in our revenues and expenditures. And then you have the checks, the bills that we've paid. And on page 2, check 96104 is to KTLB for $17,250, and that was the second deposit for the 8th grade trip, and which has been changed to Philadelphia. And that's all I have for the checks. And then next you have the 018, 200s, and 300s appropriations. And then the donations of $50 from Blackball Giving Fund. It was a grant donation to the Middle School Principals Fund. And that's all I've got.
Any questions?
Nope.
If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Hookrattle, Mr. Moore, to approve monthly financial statements as printed above. Ms. Boyer?
Mr. Hookrattle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Dr. Walter?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
All right, number 9, new business financial. A, service provider, the superintendent recommends approval of the following. Service provider, School Insurance Consultants, LLC, contract period 2021-2022, annual fee, $3,500 per exhibit, $3,500 per exhibit A at the consulting agreement. And then we're going to 9. Service provider Walsworth Yearbooks, 2021-2022 school year. Service provider print yearbooks, cost is $11,742. That's the estimated for the high school. Recommend approval. Service provider Walsworth Yearbooks, 2021-2022 school year, print yearbooks at a cost of $2,781. That's estimated for the cost of the middle school. B, resolution to purchase retail electric service. Ms. Boyer, treasurer requests, recommend approval of the following resolution. The Board of Education, the Board of Union-Thurston Public School District, Fairfield County, Ohio, met in general session March 8, 2021 at 7 p.m. at the offices of the Board of Baltimore. This resolution, you've all had this, seen it. I'm not going to read the whole thing.
It's our agreement with Meta for them, so we're part of that consortium to give us the cheaper rate.
All right, any questions?
Is the, just on number 1, the school insurance consultants, is that to consult with us on our consortium and what we're doing there, or is that some other type of insurance?
That's our insurance consultant for property, all the other insurance.
Okay, well, non-health
Yes.
and dental and those things,
Yes.
vision, okay.
And I don't think there's actually an exhibit A that she has in here.
And then is that $500, is that for like, it's at the top of the next page, is that part of that?
It says the consultant.
Is there $500 cyber liability administrator?
That was maybe that's her exhibit A. I know they were adding the $500 to our policy for cyber liability
Okay.
insurance.
I missed that little sentence right there.
The 500 for
Yeah.
cyber.
It looks like that's their administrative fee for it.
Anything else?
Nope, not from me.
I do have a motion.
So moved.
Ms. Cato, Mr. Moore, to approve new business financial stated above. Ms. Boyer?
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Dr. Walter?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Hookrattle?
Yes.
All right. Number 10, A, certified substitute list, requests and recommend approval of the March 2021 substitute list from the Fairfield County Education Service Center. B, classified substitute list, the superintendent requests approval of the March 2021 classified substitute list with the addition of the following names. Amy Collier, 6809 Township Road, 140 Northwest, Rushville, Ohio, for bus driver and bus aide. C, resignations and retirements. Number 1, District Office Administrator Alice Bonrant has submitted her resignation for the purpose of retiring. Her last day of employment will be Wednesday, June 30th, 2021. And the Superintendent Mike Johnson recommends. Number 2, Building and Grounds employee Troy Donahue has submitted his resignation for retirement. His effective retirement date is July 9th, 2021. Number 3, school nurse Jeff Dupler has submitted his resignation for the purpose of retiring effective August 1st, 2021. Number 4, school bus driver Randy Fosmoff has submitted his resignation effective March 2nd, 2021. And food service employee Tammy Landis has submitted her resignation for the purpose of retiring. The last day of employment will be August 3rd, 2021. Number 6, JV softball coach Shelby Stevens has submitted her resignation due to the scheduling conflict. And see here, I got more notes, I'm gonna make sure I don't miss it.
There's 7, yeah. There's one at the top.
And then, middle school cashier, Molly Stillwell has submitted her resignation on July 1st, 2021. Also recommended by the superintendent for approval. D, grant contract. The school board recommends approval to extend the following contract for the superintendent of schools, Dr. Michael Johnson, commencing on August 1st, 2021, and ending July 31st, 2024 at step 8, 255 days per year, effective August 1st, 2021. E, employee personnel. The superintendent recommends approval to hire the following personnel: Kimberly Dorsum, food service, 4 hours a day, 4 days a week at step. This is the one she gave me, never know.
It's at step 0.
It's a step 0, but maybe increased based on the experience when verified.
Okay.
That's my note. There you go. And then F, supplemental position contracts. The following personnel are recommended by the superintendent effective February 22nd, 2021. Joe Palmer, volunteer, junior high track. Renee Manget, junior high track head coach, level 11 plus, step. I don't really say step, but it's out there. Breaks down the salary. Jake Kemmer, assistant coach, track, level 3, step 11. Jackson Smith, track coach, spring 2021, volunteer. And John Putnam III, JV baseball coach, spring 2021, level 3, step 0.
Is that step for Jake Kemmer, is that step 11 or? It's 10 in mine, is 11 correct?
It was
11 is
changed.
correct.
It should be 11.
Okay.
Right.
That was one of my extra notes here. Any discussion? All right. Do I have a motion to approve?
Oh, we have G also.
Oh,
That's the addendum.
oh, yes, I did. G put it out there, sorry. And G, and I'm falling under number 10, extended days. The following personnel are recommended for extended days as printed. Brandon Thomas, BOAG teacher, 10 extended days. Chris Turner, BOAG teacher, 10 extended days. Which will give them both a total of 50 days, and they were at 40. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Cato and Hook Rattle to approve new business personnel. Ms. Boyer?
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Dr. Walden?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Hookrattle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
All right. Number 11, new business other. The following policies were presented for review only at the February 8, 2021 at the Board of Education meeting. They are now consideration for approval. This is the same stuff we had from harassment, job descriptions. If I remember right? Which takes us takes me to
the job description on page 19.
yeah, 19, but there was
You got A1 and 2.
A1 and 2, B, job description, and then C, disposal approval. The tech department is requesting approval to dispose of the following computers. They have reached their life expectancy. Tech Defenders is guaranteeing a minimum of $11,350. And that is a whole list of the different computers and monitors. Chromebook.
Page 35.
Which takes us to 35 at the top. Everybody got that?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Hookrattle, Mr. Moore, to approve new business other, as printed above. Ms. Boyer?
Dr. Walter?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Hook-Rattle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Schiff?
Yes. Number 12, new business other, return to school 4 days of work, 4 days a week. Superintendent Mike Johnson recommends and requests approval to return to school 4 days a week. I'll go ahead and read all this. The superintendent recommends that the school district transition to in-person learning 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, effective Monday, March 15th, 2021. The uninterrupted 4-day schedule will eliminate the midweek day off and would provide students with a more consistent routine. The 4-day schedule would most likely contribute to normalizing the academic and teaching schedule and improve student learning and address social emotional needs. The school district will continue to reserve Fridays and the 30 minutes at the end of the day to allow teachers to assist families choosing and wanting their students to be supported with the school district remote learning system. The superintendent will monitor for any new COVID cases and may recommend to the Board of Education at a later date to return to school full-time, 5 days a week prior to the end of the school year and discontinue the remote learning option. It is the goal of the superintendent to return to full-time everyday instruction as soon as possible. The superintendent's decision and recommendation to return to school full-time will be supported by evidence. The superintendent believes that the recommendation to school 4 days a week is a low-risk decision and is supported by the following facts. The efficacy of the Pfizer vaccine after 14 days following the first dose is 82%, and the level of protection for faculty and staff will increase significantly after the second dose, scheduled to be administered on March 18th. There has never been a person-to-person transmission of the virus among or between students and or staff members within our school since the very inception of the virus. There have only been 25 students and 11 staff members that have tested positive for COVID-19 during the previous 12 months. Staff members and students will be required to continue to observe and practice all of the safety protocols included in the school district's board-adopted Reset, Restart, and Reopening program. The adopted protocol includes limiting visitors to the building, answering daily health questions, conducting temperature checks each morning, frequent washing of the hands and sanitizing surfaces, mandatory wearing of masks, and social distancing. So students and staff members will social distance to the greatest extent possible. Phew.
We'll take a drink.
I need a drink.
A drink real quick, though.
Man. All right, any discussion?
Well, you know, I guess I'd like to, you know, throw out still the idea of going, 5 days. I mean, some districts around us have done that for a while. I mean, even some of the larger districts, we're hearing that are going to 5 days, and I'd at least like to put that out there for some discussion, because I think that's where we need to be there sooner rather than later. And that's kind of how and we've got some good data, like that's included in here about our main concern was with exposing our faculty and staff, and the majority of them are actually after the first it's pretty good protective effect. We're going to have everybody else vaccinated here with their second in 10 days or so. So I'd like to put that out there that we consider 5 days. So let's just that's kind of my take on that. I think it's time.
I would love to see us go 5 days as well. I feel like part of our reason with even the 2 was, again, what you said, staff, right? And the fact that we've got staff who, now our biggest worry was getting substitute teachers in here, right? And what that was going to look like if we did, we're good. Like, we're going to have them vaccinated. Things are going to be going in the right path. So I feel like you see here in a 12-month period, 25 students and 11 staff members. Those numbers are low when you've got an 82% rate with Pfizer, and it's only going to go up into that 90-95% range. I'm of the opinion too. I mean, now I say that understanding that we go to 5 days, we have to remove the remote learning option. That is too much to put on our teachers.
That was going to be my idea. I think
it's too much to put on the teachers to ask them to teach 5 days a week and do the remote.
Right.
But
Yeah.
man, I would love to see it Monday, March 15th, 5 days a week. But, you know, leave that up to another general conversation.
I think that he says in here that, you know, that we're recommending to go the 4 days, have the day. When he gets more data, then he'll make that decision and bring it back to the board.
Yeah, I mean, that is in here. I think what John is saying and what I'm saying is, what are your thoughts on 5 right now? I mean, I read that, I heard you say it, but.
I think that we don't know what the number of students or parents are you know, gonna keep their kids continuing to be home, right? I mean, if we go back to 4 days, there could be students that say, hey, we're not gonna go back. We're gonna switch to remote. They're not gonna go the 2 days, they're gonna go the 4 because you're not gonna have social distancing. So we don't really know what that number is yet. I think that's what he's talking about by some of the evidence. You know, once we go back to 4 days, our teachers are still supporting our online students, you know, whether it be a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks. I mean, ultimately, we want them all back in school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're closer now than we ever have been. You know, we were going to go, what, 75 per 100,000, and that never did ever come. Still ain't there, but here we are. Now we're at 4 days. I mean, if we pass this tonight, we're 4 days with 1 day of cleaning and keeping our kids remote.
Question. Dr. Johnson, what percentage of our staff was vaccinated? Do you know that? How many looked
In the
at
90s,
two?
90%. There's very few
That did not.
Yeah.
there's more support staff that did than instructional staff. Support staff, probably the major number of people who did not.
So March 18th is the second round of vaccination, right, or the second?
Yeah,
Okay.
Thursday the 18th.
Just remind, where are we at with percent remote students roughly? Do we know?
It depends on the grade level.
Okay.
But 20 to 30, based on the grade level, it's still fairly high. I had some contact from parents that were fully remote, and knowing that we're going to go 4 days a week, are coming back. And you know, I don't know what goes through a person's head to go from fully remote, knowing that we're coming back 4 days a week. That appealed to them. There might be others that would go the other way. I think an interim period of time to assess that is my recommendation. However, it's the will of the board.
Any other discussion?
Carol, Bill, any thoughts on going 5?
The only thing that kind of sticks in my mind is March 18th, the date for that second round of vaccines. I mean, I agree 100%. We do need to get these kids back ASAP. And I think all of us have that, thought, in mind.
I mean, I think the great thing is, for those that are listening, it sounds like we're headed to 4. It's just, and I guess I just don't want to wait a month, or some long amount of time where there's only a month of school left, and at that point it's like, well, what's the point? And that's what people are going to ask us out in the community. They're going to be like, well, you waited a month, now it's the middle of April, now like, what's the point? What's the point? You got 1 month of school left, roughly. I get it, it's 5, 6 weeks, whatever it is, but still, I think that's the kind of question that we're going to get.
So Dr. Johnson, that 5th day or on that Friday, what's the value of that? What is the only reason is to support these remote students?
That's it.
So if we bring them back 5 days a week, remote's gone, everyone comes back to school. I say bring them back 5 days. Because if that's the only reason, because we're supporting that remote learning, we're getting rid of that anyways, bring them all back 5 days. That's, I mean,
You said
my
that's
thought.
about 20 students total?
20%
20%.
per
20%.
grade.
20 to 30%.
So, I mean, honestly, it is about
Yeah.
20 or 30, because you got about 100 per grade. Just doing the math.
Okay, so what if I throw out there that we amend the return to school to 4 days a week, beginning March 15th, and then we go to full 5 days. When's our spring break?
After spring break.
After spring break.
When is spring? Is spring break April 5th?
Yeah, it's good.
It's
So the
April.
Good Friday is
That's
before
second.
that, is the first day, and then the whole next week.
So April, we'd be back in school April 12th?
Second, I believe, is the.
It'd be
is
April
Good
12th.
Friday.
Okay. And what's the last day of school? Sorry,
May
I'm only looking at
27th.
April because I think she was looking at a calendar, so
Yeah.
if you weren't
I was
April, I
looking
really
at-
apologize for putting you
No, I
on the
am
spot.
looking at the calendar, but I didn't see it.
May 27th is the last student day,
Okay,
and then April 12th is
so
that
that would
Monday
give us
after
6
spring
weeks
break.
of 5. That'd give us
Back
6
full
weeks
time.
of 5 days a week, is what you are kind of putting in writing
Yeah.
here and saying.
To amend that to,
Holly,
The thing I can,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dr. King.
I like that, if we're not gonna go with 5, I like that over waiting until, for another board meeting, you know, I'd like that.
Because the board meeting is the 12th.
Right,
Right.
so I'd rather have the plan, if we're gonna do it that way, I'd rather have it set that that's the plan, and we don't have to meet, you know, it's not gonna be back and forth, we have to wait for another
Well,
meeting.
and parents can plan accordingly.
Right,
Right.
and that's what, I was gonna ask Holly, how long do you feel that it would take a teacher in your building to be prepared to go full-fledged back 5 days a week?
Well, they've known about it for the last several weeks, so we've been addressing some of those concerns. I think in our building, at least, the biggest concern is the classroom management issue of, you've been working with these kids on these 2 days, and now you've got these kids and you're combining them all, you know, so I think, that's probably their biggest fear, but I think they're ready to go. It's just a matter of, you know, trying to figure out how to best balance that, you know, starting over from scratch, in essence, you know, like the first day of school. So, but, I mean, they're ready, so.
Mr. Turner, what about your building?
We're ready to roll. We got schedules for complete classes ready to go.
For 4 days a week out of the gate.
Yep. Now, I'll tell you right now, I have 100 kids that's strictly remote in that building. 360 is 100. Right now, it's strictly remote, so that's a big chunk. So hopefully they
so I
turn
think
the
this
page
gives
and
us
come
time to
back.
plan and the families to plan.
And give them the chance to plan, that they're
Right.
gonna have to, yeah, cause I agree, you know, I don't think we can do 5 days and then support, you know, a large
Right.
number of remote learning. So it needs to be, and I agree, I think it needs to be back in school. Yeah.
So what would be an acceptable amendment to this then?
Well, I
What
kinda
Carol-
know what Carol said.
I think what Carol said is very acceptable.
We're 4 day as of or next Monday, and then we are 5 day after return from spring break.
Yeah.
I mean, I can,
So, when we go back to 5 days, I'm gonna have a major influx of kids on that bus. There's no 2 to a seat unless we hire a couple more drivers.
So how are you gonna, I'm just gonna ask it this way, how are you gonna do 4?
I'm still thinking that if you're offering hybrid, I think those kids are gonna stay hybrid for the most part.
You mean remote?
That's what I meant to say. The kids that are fully remote, I think for the most part are gonna stay there while it's an option.
You have a 20 to 30% increase in demand, theoretically. But again, that he's putting that on the table. You just need to know that these kids are gonna be close together, they're gonna be wearing masks, that kind of thing. I don't think you're saying do any other, just to have that fact out there.
Yeah, I just want you to be aware that our 1 or 2 kids to a seat is not gonna happen.
Right.
When we go
So, but
full
it-
time.
Okay, but that would happen no matter, I mean, that'll happen until these things get taken off the the table, right? So
I just wanted
we're at
to
the
throw
mercy
that
of-
out there, so
Okay.
when
For-
people see our buses are back full capacity.
4 days a week, he can have one, at the most two to a seat. 5 days a week, all in, he can't do that anymore. So that's just the fact.
I think we're back to full capacity once you pull the trigger and say no more remote.
Right, but we're full capacity on buses and in classroom, I mean.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's no different on a bus than it is in the schoolroom.
It's a lot more visible to the public.
Right.
You know what I mean? I just wanna throw that out there so you have it.
Holly, what's that look like in your classrooms, and Tim, as far as keeping that still 3 foot now, social distancing and everything? I mean, are our classrooms going to handle that? I mean, how are they gonna be set up?
I sent an email to the teachers today to give me a total number so we can see if they're balanced, because on some days a teacher might have 20 kids in a class, and others day they might have 10, even at full capacity. So I want to see what those numbers look like. We might need to do some schedule changes to balance those a little bit better so we don't have those kinds of numbers. But as far as distancing, again, it's going to depend on those numbers. Right now, most teachers on average have space for about 12 students. So, you know, obviously we'll have to get that number up to accommodate. But like I said, I think we can balance some of those classes by changing some of those schedules if we needed to.
Lunchtime will be mask off, less than 3 feet. That's a fact. When you get everybody in there, it'll be probably, they won't be shoulder to shoulder, but there might be 2 foot between them. So the fact is, everybody mask off at lunch and less than 3 feet, way less than 3 feet. Again, it's just a fact. I mean, I just want you to know that that's what the environment's going to look like.
I mean, I'll go back to what I said earlier on. I think, from the outset, we were trying to be protective of, the at-risk population. And with the vaccinations where we are now, I think the at-risk population is fairly well protected. You're still gonna have some outliers, but the people that are at most risk are protected now, as best as I think we can do. I think we gotta start putting the interest of the kids at the forefront. I think that's where I'm coming from. I think we've done what we can for the at-risk people. Now it's the kids' turn, is where I'm at. So that's why I'm kind of, that's why I'm pushing for this. And understanding that, it's not a perfect world, and we're not going to have, we can't have, everything like that. But, the kids are low risk, and, we'll continue to get more vaccines every week. More that number keeps coming down in terms of where we're at. So, the eligibility for it. So.
No, I think we did right by our staff. I mean, we watched other school districts go through it the entire winter and somehow adhered to, some of them were in school 5 days a week, and supported remote learning. And, there was quite a few things going on in other districts, and I think we took a very, some would say, some didn't like our approach. That's understandable. I get it. I mean, obviously, I think I was one of them early on, right? Like I wanted us to barrel through. To me, I think at this point, the amendment that Carol talked about, I can fully support that. I mean,
I think
that gives us a month. That's a month to really think. How do we get it to the point where we're at 5 days, and that's still 6 weeks of school left. That kids are getting that instruction. So I can fully support that.
So your motion, meeting in the middle.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think
So
so.
I'm amending the motion to.
We go back 4 days a week on March 15th, 2021, and then
Full-time April 12th.
Then April 12th, full-time, no remote learning. Right?
Correct.
Well, and yep.
So I guess that would when we do away with the remote learning option, what
you know, for somebody that's completely uncomfortable, what are their options? I mean, do they
5
just-
days.
Huh?
5 days.
Or some type of
Or some type of, they
Yeah,
still
I
have
mean,
the
there's
option
plenty
to
of,
do.
We'd have to figure out how to support them, because we're gonna talk about personnel in addition to what we have. The other is they can homeschool.
right, that's what, when I said e-learning, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
They
so
can-
they would still
they
always
can
have that
homeschool.
option if they're
They can choose to homeschool.
choosing to homeschool.
Right, because we cannot ask our teachers to still be in 5 days and still support a remote learn.
That is absolutely correct. I would not want to do that to our staff.
I would not either.
So then this gives us time to adjust, gives the parents time to adjust, and maybe even give more feedback to Dr. Johnson.
Now, does this, the other thing, I mean, obviously we talked about lunchroom, what about like playground and things like that? Is that,
Same thing.
so we're just knowing that we can't, you know,
Right.
we can't, okay. Because I mean, yeah, with, you know, playground equipment and all that stuff, you know, it's getting into the spring, I know that, you know, the kids are gonna wanna be, you know, and it's out, it's better to be outside anyway, so, yeah, hopefully now we can take advantage of the weather and, you know, just disinfect as much as we can, but let them, you know, be able to enjoy the,
I still want to see whoever, you know, obviously we've had a ton of teachers in, you know, in these August, September, October timeframe take advantage of outdoor learning, right? Like we still, it goes back to, I think, the last board meeting or two ago where I think it was actually Mr. Turner who came up here and presented a lot of things that we've learned through this pandemic. We are failing our students if we don't take those learnings and apply them forward, right? I mean, there were so many
in a non-pandemic situation.
right, and yes, in a non-pandemic, you know, our teachers are smart, resourceful, all of that stuff, right? They figured out ways to go through this in a, you know, in a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. There were great learnings from that. We cannot revert back to the old way and just be like, well, it's 5 days a week, here's your worksheet, Billy, sit down and do it. Like, no, let's keep pushing forward, push the envelope, get outside, do these things that the kids are gonna love. I mean, they enjoyed it in the fall. So I just, to me, like, there's gotta be things that we look back and say, these were the positives that came out of, you know, something that cost us quite a bit of time and effort.
But no, I can live with that, yeah.
Any other discussion?
On the April the 12th, you say coming back full-time, and then there wouldn't be the remote option. What about, currently, we also end our day a half hour early
We would
because
stop.
of supporting the remote, so.
We would stop that too.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
That's a transportation logistics that we have to figure out.
Let me rethink that.
Yeah, that's it. We have to recover that half hour every day as well, because we're giving it up for remote learning. So we need to recover it. We probably could still meet our hours, but we said from the beginning that we were doing that for remote learning, and I think it needs to come back to the schedule.
So up until March 15th, we'll still be doing the 30-minute in the
Yes.
school day.
Right.
Up until April 12th.
Yeah, up until 12th.
Yeah, up until April 12th.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Sorry, yeah.
April 12th, and then after that, the 30 minutes, and Friday will go away and everybody will be back.
And we said that from the beginning. I communicated that to the staff from the beginning.
So basically busing, we're just gonna understand it's gonna be, you know, what it's gonna be.
Lunchtime,
playground, the kids are gonna be out and they're gonna be able to play on stuff and just clean stuff as best we can, clean hands as best we can, and
The only difference is that on the bus they'll be wearing a mask.
wearing the mask, right?
Whereas in the lunchroom they won't be, but they won't be as close together in the lunchroom as they will be on the bus either.
Right.
Okay, so do I have a motion do I have a motion with the new amendment, like Carol Kay did?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Ms. Boyer?
Ms. Cato?
Yes.
Mr. Hookradle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Dr. Walden?
Yes.
All right, number 13, executive session. Executive session is requested by the superintendent to, let's see, which one is it?
Personnel, wasn't it?
Personnel, past personnel.
I'm sorry, discipline, and that, I think it's personnel discipline.
Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Colorado and Cato to go in at 8:36, is that right?
Sure. You go off your clock.
Ms. Boyer?
Mr. Hookrattle?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Shook?
Yes.
Dr. Walden?
Yes.
Ms. Cato?
Yes.